Let's see if this does that thing. We'll go with that. Welcome to Coffee Breaks Thursday, everybody. I'm Jason Zalakis. Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zalakis. Thanks for being here. It has been a wild week already. What a week, huh? We've seen a lot this week. So let's get right to it. Once again, Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zalakis. Thank you for being here. I'm your host, Jason Zalakis, still adjusting in the chair. I don't know if you can tell, but I've been feeling under the weather this week. Maybe it's in my voice, maybe it's not. Maybe you're like, oh, where's that radio voice? I have no idea. Anyway, the deal is that it's kind of funny. On Tuesday I had a fever and everything, and but and today I'm not feeling that great. But I'm doing the show anyway. I'm here for you guys, and I'm here every week on Thursdays, unless I'm on set, doing this for you guys week after week. So once again, welcome to Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zalakis. It's funny when you're sick nowadays. Immediately people say stuff like, oh my God, do you have COVID? they just immediately go to that, and you're like, no, or maybe you're like, yes, but typically I say no. I'm lucky to not have COVID, and it's always funny too, because when you go on set, they're like, or one of the requirements for going on set often is that you have to have proof of vaccination, all these things, or recent tests. Or 90 days. I saw one the other day that really actually blew my mind. If you had COVID within the last 90 days, they were going to allow you on set. Like if you said, I had COVID. I don't know how you prove that, but I had COVID within the last 90 days. They were like, cool, you're welcome to come on. And I was like, really? Like that's one of your requirements, is if you've had it? And so I don't know how that works, and I didn't apply for that job because I just thought that was wild. Who are they letting on set? But typically you have to prove you're vaxxed or whatever, and or you have to take a test that shows. And a lot of times you have to prove you're vaxxed and take the test before they let you on set. So there's a lot of that's going on. So, but it's funny because I feel like if someone else in your household took the test, and you've been close with them in your household, and they took the test, I feel like that should count. I feel like they should be like, yeah, you don't have it. If they got the test and it came back negative, you don't have it, because I don't know. Maybe I feel like that's another thing. I want to be like, well, my wife just took the test like 2 days ago, and so we don't have it. But they don't. But they won't. I guess they won't accept that. I have no idea. I've never asked them. Of course, I'm not going to do that. If they pay me to take the test, I'm gonna take the test. Anyway, the good news is I don't have COVID. And I'm feeling better. I'm not feeling wonderful, but the show must go on, right? As we learned this week, the show must go on. I don't know how you handle that. I don't know how the show goes on sometimes, but it does, because the reason we do the show, Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zalakis, and the reason anyone does a show, regardless of what they're telling you, the reason anyone does a show is because they want people to watch it. So they want ratings, and so that's great. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but that's the point. Shows this week, the show must go on, right? It's for the viewer. That was my point. Was that they want ratings, it's for the viewer. But ultimately, I don't care if there's 10 viewers. I don't care if there's 100 viewers. I don't care if there's thousands of viewers. What I want to see is people who enjoy the show. So for me, the show must go on. And if you're enjoying the show, thank you for being here. Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zalakis. Let's talk a few more things before we bring on our wonderful guest today. Our guest today is Deanna Rashell. She's been in tons of stuff. Now, you guys know I do the show. This is a show for actors. This is a working actor show. And whether you're working or not, whether you want to be a working actor, there's a lot of tips on how to get started on this show. And so you know that. You watch the show week after week. And if you don't watch the show week after week and you want to, you can see all of our shows on the Coffee Breaks page, Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zalakis, but you know that, you're watching this. You can see all the previous episodes. The Keith Coogan, Daniel Roebuck, James Troop, Jackie Dallas. Many people have been on this show. Go check them out. They're great episodes. They're all loaded with wonderful information about what we do in the business. And if you want to be in it, or you want to see that you're not alone in struggling, then this is the show for you, man. So we're gonna today. Deanna Rashell is our guest, and she works, and that's why I'm excited to have her on. She's working. So my week. What a week, it's interesting because I put on photos, and I'm often cast as the bad guy. And I try to balance my social media. And I think that's something that a lot of people try to do as actors. Well, maybe they don't, but I try to balance my social media. I try to show that I'm a working actor, but I also try to show that I'm not the bad guy in real life, that I'm actually like a fun dude. So I posted a picture where I was smiling, but I was smiling like this, I'm going like this. About like that. And a whole bunch of people wrote and they go, oh my God, why are you so serious? Wow, you're like the scariest thing ever. And all this stuff. And I was like, are you serious? This is a photo where I'm smiling, you guys. So then I posted a picture where I was like pissed, just to show the difference. And, I don't know. So I don't know how to balance it, right? Like I thought I was showing a fun picture, but people just kept casting me as the bad guy anyway. So if you want to cast me as the bad guy, man, I guess. What I hear from my kids, my kids come home and they go, oh, so-and-so thinks you're scary. And I'm like, why? They don't know me. Oh, that's why. They don't know you. They think you're scary. Oh, you look scary. Oh, when you talk, you're scary. I don't know. So apparently high school kids think I'm scary. So if you want to hire me to terrorize them or anybody in your movie, man, I could do that. I guess. Just be me. How much of acting is not acting is always a question I wonder. Is it just that I'm this guy? If you know me, you know I'm not that guy. Anyway, I wondered about some things. I had some auditions this week. I didn't land anything. Not yet, anyway. I just want to fill you in. I've had some auditions for Stitch Fix, a company, obviously we've all heard of Stitch Fix. They send you clothes in the mail and crap. I had one for Crystal Geyser, which was pretty cool. I actually thought that was pretty cool. But at what point, like I'm like supposed to be working for this water company, right? And I'm supposed to be like, oh my God, they're so great, right? Like, look at this water company. But in my mind, I'm going, dude, you guys are stealing water. Like, what's the deal here, right? And so I saw this commercial, and my wife and I, we talked about this commercial, and it's a commercial for what they call energy. And the commercial it goes on to say that you should invest in, you should want energy. And it's basically a commercial for oil. And it shows you all these things that you can't have without oil, like plastics. And they're like, don't you love football? And then the football like fades away. And they're all, don't you love jerseys? And the jerseys like fade away. And they show all these things you can't have without oil. And I'm like, that's the most ridiculous commercial I've ever seen. They're not advertising plastics and everything. They're literally advertising oil. We know how to get plastics too. We get plastics lots of ways. We have enough plastic. I'll bet we don't need to make more plastic. And but I'm going, really? And so my wife says, dude, would you do that? Would you do a commercial for oil? I mean, that's equivalent of like somebody coming to you now and saying, would you do a commercial for a VHS tape? What, an outdated product? Like, I guess. And and then so she goes, would you do it? Would you do this commercial for oil? Would you, and I'm like, well, yeah, I have to. As an actor, man, I have to do the jobs they pay me to do. Like, if you're gonna pay me to do the job, man, I gotta do it, right? So I did the one for the water bottle company, and I did the one, and I guess I would do the one for oil. It's a ridiculous product, man, but somebody's got to do it. Anyway, speaking of ridiculous things, this week, before we bring in on our guest, Deanna Rashell, and I think Warren is going to make that happen. I want to give a shout out to my buddy over there in Florida, producer Warren Madden. Thanks for making this show possible week after week, you guys. This guy works hard to bring us the entertainment, to bring us the show. Thank you, Warren Madden. Let's have a sip before we get to Handsome History. See how I lower my voice? This is where I go. I should do motivational stuff like Tony Robbins some weeks. I should do a fake Tony Robbins as part of the show week after week. You know what? Next week, I'm going to do that. Next week, we're going to have a Tony Robbins segment. Phony Robbins. Coming up next week, Phony Robbins. I just TM, that's me. Don't take it. I don't care if you take that shit. Anyway, here we go. Let's get to Handsome History. Speaking of wild stories, this week, and before we bring on our wonderful guest who is standing in the wings, coming on in just a few minutes, I want to get to Handsome History right quick. A flamingo, you may have heard this story, but a flamingo in Kansas City got out 17 years ago and was spotted in Texas, just like this last weekend. And they're sure it's the same one. But what inspired me this week to bring on Handsome History, I thought it was pretty wild because the way they had framed this article about the flamingo was that it had fled the zoo. Okay, fled the zoo 17 years ago and was spotted in Texas. And I was like, yo, dude, I'm watching all these shows, right, on Netflix and all this crap about scams and about con artists. Right now, they're shoving that stuff down our throat. Everything's about scams and con men. They're like, yo, I want a show about con men? You're like, no, I want to see more about that dude who got locked up. And they're like, here's a show about con men. But The con man flees. He fled. He fled from there. They're acting like this flamingo was like a con man. Dude, I'm going, are you serious? It's a bird, right? It's a bird. Guess what it's going to do? It's going to leave. It's a bird. But they're like, no, it fled the scene. So this bird was on high alert, and it made me think about zoos around the world, and that's what Handsome History is about today. It's about zoos, and I'm going to wrap it up. I got a bunch, but we're not going to go through it. There are 355 zoos in the United States. Did you know that? 355 zoos in the United States. Now, the thing about zoos is that a lot of them are what they call insurance protection for some of these species. There are 39 species that exist only in zoos that have gone extinct in the wild. There are 39 species that currently exist only in zoos. And the first public zoo was in 1874 in New York, of course, the Central Park Zoo. I got the boot in the middle of the show. Welcome back to Coffee Breaks Thursdays. I got the boot in the middle of the show. I'm not sure why I got the boot in the middle of the show. Anyway, this is part 2. Sometimes it happens. I hope you can hear me. Welcome back to the show. I hope you guys find this link. I don't know what just happened there, and I'm not sure why I had to go live again. But anyway, the feed dropped, so I'll have to apologize to everybody for doing that. Maybe there's some way to edit this in the future. Maybe there's not. I'm sure there's I'm sure there is, but you know, we gotta move to a better format after this stuff keeps happening. I'm not sure why, but we'll wait for the guests to rejoin. Again, my apologies, the feed dropped. I had nothing to do with that. You guys know live television, sometimes the feed drops. Let's get back right quick to finish Handsome History while we wait for our guests to re-arrive. And this is why we have segments like this on the show, is because sometimes things happen. Could you imagine we were in the middle of a guest, we'd have this whole big issue. Oh my goodness. It didn't even give me a chance to reconnect. It just killed the feed. Hey there. Thanks you for watching. Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zalakis. Back to Handsome History. We were talking about zoos, and we're finishing up on that because we want to get to our guest. I've used enough of our time with the disconnect and the accidents and all that. So we're waiting for our guests and everything to rejoin. I'm sure that'll be just a moment. Forgive me once again, guys, for this delay. We're going to sip a moment of coffee. All right, back to it. Back to it before we bring our guest on. And I don't know, the lighting is weird now, and everything is like what it is. And I don't know, maybe it's my phone. I am likely to run out of battery today. So I'm not really sure what the heck is going on. I'm messing with the lighting again. All right. Anyway, we're back to the show, guys. Sorry about that. Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zalakis. Hey, I'm glad you're back. Thank you. We'll get you right on just a moment. We're going to finish up the last couple of facts while we wait for producer Warren Madden to find the feed. Again, I'm sure he's emailing me going, what the heck happened, dude? Anyway, what the heck happened? Facebook Live. I can't, like I said, I can't get the lighting right. Okay, Warren is back, and we are finishing. The last thing I wanted to tell you about the zoos. Anyway, before I was saying, Central Park Zoo is the first zoo, 1874, but Busch Gardens, Tampa, Florida, over there in Florida. So that's why I wanted to mention it. Was shout out to producer Warren Madden, who's over there in Florida. I wanted to mention that Busch Gardens is the most visited zoo in the country with 4.5 million visitors a year. Isn't that amazing? 4.5 million visitors go and see Busch Gardens every year in Tampa. But did you know the average ticket for an adult is $9 and a penny to go to the zoo? $9 and a penny. That's the average ticket. But of course, the highest price ticket, before I bring in our guest, the highest price ticket for an adult to go to the zoo, $58, belongs right up the road here at Safari West in Santa Rosa. Of course, California bringing it in for the high prices. And there you have it, folks. Handsome History, part 2 of this episode. Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zalakis. We're bringing on our guest right now. We're excited to have her, Deanna Rashell. A working actor. We love that. Hey, get on the show. Be a working actor. Let's bring our guest on, and there she is.
Hey guys,
hey,
can you hear me okay?
Absolutely. How are you?
Great.
I think
I'm good. How
good.
are you?
Thank you for being here. Sorry for the
Yeah.
I'm going to try to readjust. It looks like my camera has moved, and this is the thing about live self-taping and all that, which we're going to get to. So I think that's better for me.
I'm just now seeing myself on camera, so I'm like, okay, I don't know if this is the right angle or what. So we're good.
Right.
It's a little messy back there, but this is my audition space. So there's my microphone sticking in my head. You can see that.
That's okay. We've had a lot of things on the show. In fact, when producer Mord Madden was on the show, I think he had like some Daniel Boone hat hanging in the back. So, but I guess that's what he gets.
Yeah, I have wigs. I have all my props here.
So I actually want to talk to you about that, about the wigs, but we'll get to that. Let's start with,
okay.
So you're born in Napa, the Bay Area, or in Napa County.
Yeah,
and
near Napa, yeah.
So that's also, I'm from San Jose, which, so you're from North California,
right.
North Carolina. But you then go into the restaurant business.
Yes.
Where do you do that at?
Hold on, that blocked my camera. I started in the restaurant. Well, I mean, I was a waitress in Sacramento when I was going to college, and then it's a kind of a long story, but we opened up a business, a Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and then a brand on a military base with a drive-through. So it was a really like high volume, quick service, dine-in and drive-through and delivery service. And then we opened another one, which was another quick service type of walk up and order, not really fast food, but not a restaurant where you had waitresses. That was called Casper's Hot Dogs and New York Frozen Custard. You might be familiar with Casper's Hot Dogs.
Oh yeah,
because they are in the Bay Area.
Oh yeah, as soon as you said that,
we were their only franchise. So we had a franchise, and then we started a custard business, and yeah, I mean that feels like another lifetime ago, but it was a.
What Air Force base was that? Was it Travis?
It was God, what's the name of? It was near Fresno. No, this is in the Central County.
Oh, okay. So
I lived all over, man. I've lived in San Diego. I've lived in Fresno. I've lived in Sacramento, Vallejo, and then I moved to the East Coast. Then I was in New Orleans. That's where I started acting. Was in New Orleans.
Right. Okay. So and I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to all that. Right. So okay. So at one point you're running a Casper's Hot Dogs, which is like a dream for me. But you're running a Casper's Hot Dogs. Yeah, of course, I love Casper's Hot Dogs. And you're running these businesses, and so a lot of things. What I ask on the show is and I saw basically you explained it on your bio, but this show might as well be called like Midlife Crises with Jason Zalakis, because a lot of us reach a point where we're financially good or financially doing all right, and it's not what we hoped. So right. That's what I want to know about, is tell me how you go from 2 restaurants to, oh my God, now I want to like work harder than I've ever worked as an actor. Tell me about that moment.
One word, divorce.
Divorce is what, really?
Yeah, it's not really. I mean, I could have stayed in the business. I'm sort of making a joke, but yeah, I got a divorce and then we sold the businesses, and then it was like clean slate, start again. What am I going to do? I thought I'm good at sales. So I was working for a pharmaceutical company selling oxygen, and I was like, to me, it was like soul sucking. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm going to die if I continue this job. Like, it really just sucked my soul. And I'm like, okay, the money was good, but I can't do it. I just can't do it. I got to do something else. I've been my own boss for years now. I can't go and work in a cubicle. That's not an option. And then, so I started doing like trade shows and just like doing costume characters. I started doing Marilyn Monroe, just random stuff, because that was when Craigslist was still big. You could find stuff on Craigslist. So
right, okay, right. So you mentioned so many great things. I never felt more, and that's what I like to talk about. Why I brought it up partly is I never felt more soul sucked. That was the word you used. I never felt that. I used to tell my wife, like, when I get to the building, I feel like my energy is sucking out. And I never, and I don't feel that way now, and
no, you don't feel that when you're acting or when you're on set or because I'm a filmmaker too. So when I'm creating, I don't feel that, I can work 16 hours and I'm barely tired until I hit the bed. Then I'm like out cold, but while you're working, you just don't feel it.
Right. And you said too about Craigslist, your first role came from Craigslist.
Yeah.
And it's wild because that's how I joined a comedy troupe. They put out this thing and they were looking for somebody, and I was like, well, I'll respond to that, So tell us.
I've gotten some good jobs off of Craigslist. I mean, you got to sift through the crap, there are some really cheesy and some sketchy people on Craigslist. But if you're willing to sift through it, you'll find some good paying jobs off of Craigslist.
Right, you know,
like hosting jobs, industrial jobs. You know what I mean? I've gotten some nice stuff.
it's true. I've gotten industrials off Craigslist because I think companies don't know that you can hire, like, you know, and I think so. That might be.
They don't know how to hire actors. I'm like, hey, I'm your girl.
I'll do it.
$750 a day, I'll take it. You know, I'm like.
And you come in, obviously, you come in with a professional package because they've told me before.
Mm-hmm.
They go, oh my God, you should have seen the photos we got. People not wearing shirts and like all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
except for my first headshot, well, I don't even know. I think I sent some. Well, we didn't have selfies because the cell phones didn't take good pictures. So it was like a camera photo. It was digital. Wasn't film, but it was just a picture of me. You know, it wasn't I didn't know what a headshot was.
right. So
and they called me.
You got hired on, and then you, from there, you end up working like NCIS in New Orleans. Like, tell us about the New Orleans journey a little bit. Like,
New Orleans, I moved to New Orleans. I was living in Florida at the time. So this is when I moved to the East Coast. And that's when I got my first acting gig. And then I started doing some like Marilyn Monroe stuff and little commercials. And I was like, I really like this, but there's no real business here. And I'm like, I didn't really want to move back to California because I've already lived in California. I was like, let me move to New Orleans. And then I met my current, my fiance who lives in New Orleans. Well, lived in New Orleans at the time. So I moved there with him and just started, you know, working trade shows, learning the business. I mean, my first headshot was me in a bikini top cut off. I didn't know. I like, it's a head. It looks good. It's on the beach. The lighting was good. You know, I'm like, and that's what I used. And then I took some headshots in my backyard. I just had my boyfriend do it for me. I'm like, hey, can you take my picture? I didn't know, you know? So then you start learning because there's not really, back then, now you could probably buy a training package. I didn't know where to go to learn the basics. So, you know, there's a lot of failure.
right.
There's a lot of like, you don't know what you're doing. I had no technique. I would just show up and audition, and sometimes I would book and sometimes I wouldn't. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm booking. And a lot of times I wasn't booking, you know?
Right. So you audition. I'm glad you brought that up. You audition quite a bit now. That's one of the things that I noticed is that
on tape
and right, on self tapes. And but you also give a lot of tips to actors, which is one of the things I love about you, is that you give
I was thinking about doing a course because I have so much information, but I'm like, God, do I give this all away for free? Because I had to learn, you know. I mean, I had to bang my head against a wall to get some of this information.
Right. You had to sort of, but you do have some things that and one of the things you talk about.
Yeah, I give it away.
One of the things you talk about is wigs. So let's talk about that a little bit. Okay. You know, is that a girl's gift? Because I don't know that I can do that.
You know, I have not. I really am just now starting to do it because I'm just kind of at the point where I am not going to spend an hour and a half doing my hair and makeup for a fucking audition. Excuse my language. I hope I can swear, but I'm just like, I'm not going to do it unless it's like a TV show, something like with residuals, a high pay. But if it's a low budget thing, I'm like, I just can't be bothered. I just can't. It already takes a long time to put all the makeup on. And I'm just like, I can't be bothered with it. I'm like, so I gotta leave. It's like, it's very similar in color. You know, it's almost, I mean, when you put this up, you can't even see the color difference. So I bought this on purpose. The roots are a little different. That has bangs. And I'm like, for some things, I'm going to wear it. And then for others, I'm just going to do this. This did not take me but 10 minutes. I can do this to my hair. But, you know, saving time as a woman, like, it gets a little stressful because, like, if I have a role that's like an ugly role, I love it. I'm like, yes, I can just be the character. I don't have to worry about putting my makeup on. I don't have to worry about everything perfect. That to me is like fun. I like that.
Right. Yeah. You know, that's so funny that you mentioned that because, like, I get an audition and I go, well, I'll do it tomorrow. And my wife's like, no, you should do it now. And I go, well, I don't want to comb my hair today. I go, I'll comb my hair tomorrow. And then, so I love the ones where like I can wear a hat. Like they're like, we want a rural dad. Like, I'll put a hat on. I don't have to comb my hair. Or
I've been doing hats recently. I have like a military hat. I got a blue hat. I got a black hat. I'm like, it's so much easier. I'm like, Okay, yeah.
So,
Just try to simplify the process, you know?
right. Okay. So, and you mentioned it that you're a director, that you do a lot of the other aspects. How much of auditioning is, and now especially, I guess they always go, oh, we've been self taping for 3 years, so you need to know how to do it now. And so, how
Yeah.
much of it is the actor learning how to become cinematographer, director, like how much time is spent on that?
Well, I've been in the South, so I have been self-taping. So to me, self-taping is easy because I have already gone. I started out with a little like a Kodak camera that was like it was basically a cell phone camera. And I started out with that. Now I use, I don't know if you can see it, but I have a DSLR camera. And then I have two lights. Like I have that panel. I have two panel lights that I use. I light my backdrop. My stuff looks pretty good now, but it's like a process. Like I have a microphone here so that so that I can bring my voice real low, because I want to bring my voice low
Right.
and I don't want it to echo,
Right.
because I learned that. I'm like, I'm projecting, and this character is an intense character. You can't just yell, you have to bring it really low and like talk.
Right.
And that changes the whole performance, but you can't do that without a mic like that.
Right. It's very hard to,
or
yeah.
a lapel mic. But then you put a lapel mic on, and then you get it in editing, and it's like because you've been talking with your hands, So it's a process. It's definitely a process.
So do you have to be rich then to make a decent self tape?
I think you can. Here's this is what I started with. Wait, let me show you. See those lights? That's what I started with. Actually, you know what I really started with? This is funny, is my bathroom. I have this beautiful like window in my bathroom. This is in New Orleans. And if any of my New Orleans friends end up watching this, they're gonna laugh because everybody used to joke, have you been in Deanna's bathroom? Because everybody would come over. Because New Orleans was great. It's a small town, so people live like 15 minutes. So everybody would come over. They would read for me in my bathroom, and I put towels up over the shower, all the same color, so it looked like a navy blue backdrop. And that's all I used. I didn't have lights, so all my tapes had to be done during the day.
Right. And I wonder about that. I see a lot of guys using natural lighting, and they tell me, yeah,
Oh, natural lighting's
I can only
great,
tape.
but I tape at night. I'm a night person. I am a night creature, so my energy comes up at night. So I have good lights now, so I can tape at night. But before, I had to do everything during the day.
Wow. And so how often, back to the wig thing, because I want to kind of focus on the audition process, because like I said,
Yeah.
you seem really great and you have it real nailed down. Um, how many times do you change hair colors? How many times, I heard you talking a little bit about if you felt the darker hair made you look more serious,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm just now experimenting with that, honestly. This is brand new. I've had the wigs for years. I've worn them in films, like my films. I like to have different looks. But I just felt like, well, why not risk it? I'm like, to me, like, I'm like, well, we just throw it away. It's like, well, it's an audition. You're either going to get it or you're not going to get it. I'm like, it's a doctor role. They don't care. It doesn't say blonde hair or red hair or brown hair. So I put the short wig on with the brown hair, and it looks really good on the tape, on the self tape. It doesn't look like a wig. If I do like the selfie camera, you can kind of tell it's a wig, but on the audition tape, you can't tell. So I'm like, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. If I get any feedback where it says don't do that, then I just won't do it anymore. But I mean, a lot of women, especially African American women, they wear wigs all the time. Almost all of whenever you see, well, you'll notice it now that I pointed it out. And I know that because I have a lot of Black friends that I was on this dance troupe in New Orleans. We did a lot of like go-go dancing, and we had costumes. And I remember this one time, one of my Black friends, I was like, your hair is so perfect. Oh my God. She goes, Deanna, it's a wig. I was like, it's a wig? And then she gave me the whole schooling on it. She's like, oh yeah, we all wear wigs. I'm like, you do? And so yeah, so I was like, wow, well, fuck, I can wear a wig too. Why not?
Right. And so I wondered, like, some guys put on fake beards, or some guys, so I wonder about that for myself. Should I shave? Should I put on a fake beard? What are those kind of things?
A fake beard would be You could do fake beard. You just got to know how to do it.
Right.
I've put on a fake beard before.
Tell us, you played a lot of characters, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you've been in. When I was, sort of looking at you for the show, I looking at you, I stopped using the word stalking because the guest seems to get really uncomfortable when I say that. But on Elsa and Fred, that was like your most prestigious thing that you mentioned?
I would say that just because of the amount of A-list actors in that film, yeah.
And what is your role in that? Tell us about that.
I play Scott Bakula's wife and Shirley MacLaine's daughter-in-law. So it's a small part. I think I have 3 scenes. Yeah, it was great. It was a really good experience. It was a little nerve-wracking because I'm like, oh my God, here's me. And then there's Shirley MacLaine, Christopher Plummer, Scott Bakula. And I'm like, okay, I'm the only one here with like virtually no credits. All my credits at that point was just indie, And I'm like, okay, keep your cool.
Right. I always wonder about that moment too. I didn't charge my I didn't charge my phone before the stupid show, and I blew it, and now we're going to try to make it to the end. Sometimes that creates a loop. I don't know if it hopefully it just didn't.
No, it just froze for a second.
For a moment. Do you ever have that moment where you've been too starstruck to act?
No. You definitely can't have that moment. That's not allowed.
Right. Yeah.
Like you might have that moment inside for a minute, then you're like, get it together, get your shit together, like focus.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely don't think I think that I was actually going through something emotional at the time when that role happened. One of my animals was just about to pass away, and it's a sad story, but so that role, I think I got a little frozen because you can't tell in my performance, but inside I was really stressed out. So yeah. And then my dinner didn't come. So we had been waiting all day, and for some reason my dinner didn't come, and I didn't know I was actually hungry. And then right before you get on, I'm like, God, I'm hungry. So I'm trying to eat like protein bars, and I needed like some meat, or some food. I'm not a vegan. I need like actual food, I'm like, and I was hungry. So that was an interesting experience. I like to eat before I go on, like a good protein snack. That to me helps me. If I'm hungry, I'm not very good.
I feel that. I mean, so often, like one of the deals is like they go, "We're sorry you're waiting so long. We're sorry you're waiting so long." And I'm like, if you guys feed me, I'll stay longer. Like, like that. Right. I think the meal on set to me is like one of the biggest things.
Right. And you gotta have. For me, like I actually have to have it before I go out, because you never know how long you have to wait. If it depends on the budget. If it's a professional film, you go out, you film, boom, 1-2 takes, that's it. But if it's a lower budget, you can be hanging around for a while because you don't have a stand-in, and then they're trying to figure out things, and then by the time you start to do your coverage, you're like, I'm hungry now. And now you need energy as an actor. That it takes up a lot of energy. To me, it does.
And you're talking about, when you're talking about waiting around, you're talking about 4 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours before you film?
I try to avoid those films now. I have done it many times, but now I don't submit for those anymore. I'm like, I'm just kind of done. I'm like, yeah, let's try to submit for the films where I know I'm gonna not be wasting away and holding all day. Yeah.
Right. That's, and a lot of people go, man, don't you just want to do background? You get there, you get on set, and I go, no, it's not even about the money, man. It's about how they treat you there. It's about standing around. You know.
And sometimes that happens. I've done it I've run low budget films on my film crew, so I know. I'm like, we can't move any faster. Our first AD didn't plan the schedule correctly, so these actors are waiting 4 or 5 hours, and I'm like, I'm sorry guys. So I understand the low budget crew, but that doesn't mean I want to work on that as an actor anymore. As a filmmaker, if the more money you have, you hire better people to plan the day, much better. Like my last one, we shot a 55-minute pilot. I did not have actors waiting that long. I think 2 hours was the longest. And they were leads, or strong roles. So they knew they're going to get like good coverage. But I wasn't making like a day player guy come on and wait, 8 hours to get his line in.
Right. That's like saintly. Like I wish they wouldn't make the day players get there at 8 a.m. to shoot at 5,
I know.
So I
Yeah,
start.
we did that for a recent commercial. They had us all there at 8 and we didn't shoot till 4. I'm like, you guys, what are you doing? You don't just leave actors hang. But yeah, they didn't, whatever, they just did it. So it was a commercial and they did it to all of us. And then we're all like tired, by the time we start filming. I'm like, don't you want us fresh?
I always think the same thing. I like, and they tell you show up camera ready. It isn't like, you can't get there in your sweats like you were talking about. Well, I'm gonna spend an hour and a half getting ready now. Like, I had to. So yeah, I can't stand that. But you can't. And what people don't understand is you can't go to your car. You can't go get lunch. You have to sit there.
Yeah, they don't want you to leave.
Right. So that's when how much of being an actor, being an indie actor, how much of it is paying your dues and how much of it is getting beat?
A lot of it's paying your dues, I think. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind if I really like the project and I really think if it's going to get made and get distributed, then I don't mind waiting. I'll wait. And if the people are cool or whatever, as long as the quality's good to me and I like my role, that to me is important. So if they're unorganized and I got to wait 5-6 hours, but I know it's going to actually get finished and go on the film circuit or get distribution, I'm fine with that. But if I waited 8 hours and it never gets finished, then I'm like, and the lighting doesn't look good or the sound isn't good or they rush me, hey, you get 1 take. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, I've been waiting for 4 hours. At least give me 2 takes, man. I mean, I'll nail it in 1 take. I will do it because I come over prepared every time I go to a set, always. But I would love to be able to play with it a little bit, like give me 2 takes or 3 takes.
I hate when they wait 8 hours to film and then go, okay, listen, we got to be off this location at 9. So your scene is done, and you're like, yo, I could have done this right. And then I walk off the project going, oh, forget it. I mean, if I used it, I probably wasn't my best. I don't know. Like you said, I'm exhausted. But so I started to ask more questions. One of the things I noticed was you recently posted that you had made a mistake. You thought you were driving to a 4-hour shoot, but it turned out to be like a 6-hour drive.
6.5, yeah.
Right. So at that point, I think I might have said, and you're super professional. That's why I wanted to bring it up. It's because I might have said, "Oh man, you know what? I don't think I can do it." But you went.
I think a lot of people would have said, "Screw it, I'm not going to do it."
But you went.
I did, and I'm glad I did because I knew it was going to be a professional shoot. I looked up the producer, I looked up the director. The casting director's a real casting director. It wasn't just like somebody who's never done it before. So I'm like, these guys have the script looked good. I was like, okay, I think they had a full, like a crew. So I got like a notice from the makeup. I got a notice from the hair department. I got a notice from the wardrobe. I was like, okay, they have departments. They've got crew. The first AD emailed me. I'm like, okay, so they're just low budget. I'm like, fine. I submitted, I auditioned. I knew what the rate was, but I did think it was going to be 3.5 to 4 hours away. My fault, because I'm new to Atlanta. I didn't realize that parts of Mississippi could be 6.5 hours away. So
Parts of Mississippi. Was it a horror film?
No.
Oh, that's terrible.
No, but is it a beautiful mansion? And it was a beautiful location. It was a mansion. It was a gorgeous location. Yeah, but everything's so cheap. It's cheap out there.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I don't even think the house might have cost $1 million. In LA, that house would be like $25 to $30 million.
Right.
It was a beautiful house.
So you're talking a 1-bedroom then? 25 to 30 million in LA. You're talking a 1-bedroom house. Wow, exactly. That's huge. So
yeah, it was gorgeous. It was like on a big piece of land with this long, beautiful driveway, and yeah, it was a gorgeous location. But yeah, I won't do that again.
Okay, so I learned you have to ask questions. I learned you have to ask what camera they're filming on. Obviously, what are some of the other things you've learned that you can share with us to ask?
Well, I don't know if you can ask, but one thing I would like to find out myself, if anybody else knows, is like, say I have an audition, and I might do it last minute. I got asked to audition. It's a super low budget. They want you to work local hire in Tennessee. And I like to meet new film crews. So to me, I feel like if I'm not busy, if I can meet new crews and work on their set, to me, that's worth it, right? Because pay comes later on. It's like marketing. But I'm like, I want to know how many scenes is this character in? And are the days going to be shot back to back? So if I'm going to drive in 2-3 hours, is it going to be one day on Monday and one day on Friday? Do I have to drive in twice? And is it just one scene? So I guess you could ask questions like that, because that's important to know. If it's like 4 or 5 scenes, that's a nice role in a feature film. You know what I mean? That's something you could use to promote. But if it's one scene and you got a couple lines or something in one scene, do you drive 4 to 6 hours for it? You know, it just depends. And you're gonna have to pay for your hotel, and now with gas prices, it's gonna cost even more. So, you know, those are the types of things I think for producers, and they need to put that on the breakdown. And some do. They'll say 2 scene shoots in one day. And I'm like, okay, great. Now I know what I'm auditioning for. You know, but like this one that I have that's due today, which I might just rush out real quick because I got to understand the character. It doesn't say. I'm like, God damn, it doesn't say. I'm like, should I do it or not? Because if I book it, then I'm going to have to turn it down. And I don't, because I'm not going to drive out that far again for that rate for one day.
Right. Sometimes I'll audition and I go, well, if they give me the part, I don't know if I'm going to take it. You know?
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of at with this one. But I'm like, but it might not be. It might be like 4 or 5 scenes. So if I knew that, then I'd be like, yeah, I'll do it. 4 or 5 scenes. I'll go ahead and pay my own money. It's fine. It's worth it. And I get to work with a new crew and meet some new people. You know, those connections can really, you just never know who you're going to meet on set.
Right. And you know what? I always do meet somebody who's really great on set.
Yeah.
So you have your own sets. Let's talk about Mafia Dads.
Okay.
Tell us about that. You wrote it, you produced it, the whole thing? You're in it?
Yep. Well, I had some people helping on the production side. It got a little hairy. So yes, but I wrote it and I directed it and I actually co-edited it as well. And I'm leading in it. Yeah, that was interesting. That was a 3-day shoot. It was only $3,500. So you can imagine that's total with, I think that's total with the editing fee. So basically shot for nothing. So we have a skeleton crew. It was my first one that was 17 pages. So I've always shot like other things that were like 8 to 9 pages. And I always had friends that would like cover my back. I didn't have anybody on covering my back on this one. So I really learned, I didn't really know like what a first AD actually did. So my first AD was all up in my business trying to be the director. And I didn't know that wasn't his job. So he kept trying to correct me no, you don't need this. No, you don't need that. No, this, no, that. And I'm just like, oh my God, you're stressing me out, dude. You need to like go because I need to do my job. So we got it done. It was a bit of drama. But yeah, we got it released. I like it. It's a cute film. It's fun. You know, if we had more money, the script is good. If we had more money, we can make it even better. But we had good coverage. We had a lot of background extras and the sets were good. And I thought the acting turned out really good.
And you submitted it to festivals?
Yep, I submitted to festivals. I think we did not get accepted any festivals yet, but we did get aired on the Louisiana Film Channel. And then another festival did air it here. I didn't make it for the live screening. Cobb Film Festival showed it. So yeah. So, but now I have it. So now I can just keep submitting it, you know, keep getting promotions from it.
Right. And what do you plan to do next with it? Like, or so that was your first directorial?
No, I've done a bunch of other stuff. So I don't have any real plans with Mafia Dads. We'll just to me, like, it's good, but I can do better. So it was good. It's done. You know, I'll probably use little bits for my reel or whatever. But I have one of my 2 favorite things. My Granny Diaries is my favorite thing. So I don't know if you've seen any of those.
I did see that. Mm-hmm.
So I have 8 episodes. I have 7 episodes released. I'm working on the 8th now. And then I'm going to do a couple more of those and I might write a feature film around that character. Just because I love Granny. She's just fun.
Right. So where do you show those? Where do people because I saw one on your Facebook.
Really, I've submitted a couple to festivals and then I have them mostly on Facebook. So, because you get like 20,000 views on Facebook because people were watching a lot of it. Pre-pandemic, I had a lot of views. And then when the pandemic hit, I did one just on the pandemic, which was actually one of my funniest ones, I thought. But people were so, you know, upset at the time. It was hard to get people to laugh. But that's why I did it. I was like, I got to make people laugh because everybody's just so upset right now. So Facebook, YouTube, pretty much.
Are you not TikToking it?
I have a TikTok, yes, but Granny does not. I think Granny needs a TikTok.
Froze again. I know my battery's about to die.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's okay. Yeah, the movies are too long for TikTok. They're, you know, 4 to 7 minutes. So TikTok is, you know, 3 minutes max.
Right, but you're not, that character isn't building steam or doing any kind of bits on.
No, but I think I will. I need to actually just get it started because I just haven't. I do go TikTok. I'm a TikToker. I love TikTok.
What do you do on your TikTok?
Well, I have just a lot of voiceovers, and I do some nutrition and just fun stuff like comedy stuff. I am thinking about starting up like makeup tutorials and then health and nutrition. So, because I have like a whole wealth of data. I'm always studying like how to fix the body with herbs and vitamins. And to me, that's fascinating. I don't go to a doctor. I haven't been sick, except for I did get Omicron. But I did not go traditional route. I had my ivermectin. I got my hydroxychloroquine. I'm totally like I'm not into the medical market. Like that's not my thing. It's never been my thing. I've always been like Chinese herbs, vitamins, nutrition, fitness, get out in the sun 10 minutes a day with no sunscreen, you know, get that vitamin D. Your body needs it, you know? So I'm like more like natural type of thing. And, so it works for me. I like it.
Right. I have a buddy who is the same way, and he went out and did this like dunk in freezing water thing to like yeah. Have you gone that far with it?
No, I don't like cold water.
The polar.
I know it's supposed to be good for you.
He was like, I'm building immunities, and I was like, you're building insanity. Like, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, they have those cryo chambers. I have a friend. He's older man, looks great. His skin is amazing. I mean, he's got to be in his late 60s. His skin looks like 40s. He goes to these cryotherapy things all the time. I'm like, God, that is so cold.
Okay, so I didn't know what that was. I drove by one in LA the other day, and I was like, what the heck is cryo something? So that's what it is? They freeze you?
Yeah. Yeah, but you go in a chamber, I guess, and then it's just real fast, like a couple minutes. And then you come out, and they have a robe for you, and you get warm right away. But it's supposed to be good for you. I just don't like the cold. I have a little bit of a problem with the cold.
You go in and you get flash frozen like tilapia? Like
I don't know. I've never tried it.
Oh my gosh, that sounds insane. And
I should probably try it just to see what it's like.
But you said, or not. I mean, you could not try it, but
He said it's good. He said it makes his body feel great. It helps his energy, and he looks good. I mean, this is an older man who looks better than most people in their 40s. So I'm like, well, you're doing something right. I always like to look at people who have results that I want.
Right.
You know? I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, how you look so good?
Right. You know, so that is right. That I guess that is what you need. We are taught to do, or we should do, is look at who has what we want and try to mimic what they do. You know?
Right. It's same like actors don't like take advice from. Well, actors a little bit different. Like I don't like to get a lot of teachers' advice too much because I don't really want to craft my art in the way they like it. I want to craft it for me. And that's a very different approach. You know, there is one school in LA that teaches like that. And I really like them. They teach you to, they get you acting all the time. Like the class is like 80 to 90% acting and like 10% instruction. It's like the total reverse of all the other acting classes. So, and you're not supposed to try to please your instructor. You're doing it for you. Because when you're in the audition and when you're on a set, it's you. There's nobody else. Sometimes you get a good director when you're lucky who actually gives you some direction.
Right. What do you think?
But I don't know how often you've had that, but I have not had that very often.
A good director?
Yeah.
I mean,
like somebody actually comes up and like gives you like really, hey, let's try it this way. Now you're thinking this and this is what happened before, and they like paint the picture for you. Like, I just haven't had that experience. Usually like, okay, camera, go, boom, do your thing, we're done. That was great, loved it, moving on.
Right. I mean, yeah, usually because they're rushing my scenes out, they do that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you audition, back to the auditioning part, and we are running out of time, and I'm probably running out of battery, so we may have to end a little early tonight, and I apologize for that today. I apologize for that. But you audition, you travel, talk about traveling. Are you auditioning, like looking for roles? You had 6 auditions the other day. Are you looking for roles everywhere, or are you just hitting the Georgia area?
Mostly just Southeast, yeah. So Louisiana, I do, because I can work a local hire there. I have friends and family there. And then there's a lot in Alabama and Mississippi and Tennessee. So almost all of my roles have been not in Atlanta. I'm like, oh my God, can we just book in Atlanta, you know? But yeah, people are filming all around here. So when you're a Southeast actor, you pretty much have to be prepared to drive and work as a partial local or a local. A lot of them will pay your hotel. Like I booked a nice role in a feature film, a Christmas movie, and the shot in the beginning of the year, and they paid for our travel. You know, they put us up in a nice hotel. It was in Tennessee, so it was a 4-hour drive. It was no big deal.
Right.
You know, but LA is different. LA, you don't drive. You know, driving 4 hours for a role is just not common. Because I lived in LA for a while. You drive an hour, hour and a half, but usually it's usually in LA.
Yeah, well, and LA is an hour from LA. So, you know,
yeah,
right.
Exactly.
You know, they always say to me, you drove an hour and a half here. I'm like, yeah, man, that's like the standard drive here. Like
to get to an audition.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I go to this one place up in Santa Monica. It's like 45 minutes. I walk in, I'm out in 3 seconds. I shouldn't even have paid to park. But but I did, and then and then I'm 45 minutes back home, and I'm like, that's a close one,
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So tell us about what you have coming up. What are you excited about?
I am excited about my pilot. So I was hired to direct and produce a pilot called Soul Wars. It's a science fiction pilot. It's going to be about 55 minutes. We've already filmed it. I actually did a lot of work on it. I got into the script, rewrote a lot of it. It was a great script, but it was not going to fit the budget that they had. So I had to bring it way down because they had it was going to be like a $2 million film. We spent close to 40,000 on it so far. So I had to bring the script way down. We shot it. It looks amazing. The rough cut's done. I already went through the rough cut. The editor's working on the second rough cut now. So that should be out around May 24th. And I'm excited about that. So I have a leading role in that, and I directed it. I worked my ass off on that film. I probably won't do that again. That was crazy. But it was good. Next time I think I will hire a director, because try it without having a proper team. Like you look at Ben Affleck directed and started but he had a huge support team. He wasn't it wasn't a low budget directing starring. There's a total difference.
Right. Yeah.
And then having a stand-in, if you have a stand-in, then you could be the director, get behind the camera, you could look at the lighting, you could look at the angles, you could look at the set deck, you could look at all that. But if you're on time, you're like, okay, just run it. We're good. Looks good. Let's do it.
Right. It's totally different. I really do think my phone is about to die, and I so apologize.
Okay. That's
what
okay.
an amateur. I do this every week. You think I'd know better.
That's okay. I will say that the only thing that I'm excited about is the Granny Diaries. So I'm just now writing 2 new stories. So I'm gonna pick one to shoot, and I'm trying to make it as funny as possible, crazy over the top. I'm gonna maybe get a fat suit for this one because I want to play this fat chick. Remember the movie Deuce Bigelow? She pulls the chicken wing out of her breast,
yeah,
and she eats the chicken wing. That's what I envisioned for one of my characters. So. Yeah. Love it.
Love it. Where can the people find you if they want to see the Granny movies, if there's the shows and they want to follow you, where can they find you?
You should be able to do a Google search of the Granny Diaries TV. So there is a Granny Diaries TV Facebook page, and then there's a Granny Diaries TV YouTube playlist. Or they can just go to DeannaRashell.com, and then my links for everything are on DeannaRashell.com.
You've been great. I'm really sorry. I know I hate to cut you 5 minutes, but I should have charged my phone. I want to thank you for being on today on Coffee Breaks Thursday. Thank you for your wonderful talk about auditioning, and good luck to you with all your films.
All right, you too.
Thanks so much.
Keep in touch.
Folks, thanks for watching
Bye.
Coffee Breaks Thursdays. We'll see you next week.